Day 0 of Gathering of the Juggalos was awesome. Getting in was interesting to say the least. It was like a Mad Max mob of cars all fighting to get into the grounds, and if you didn't have a car pass, which I didn't, you had to wait in the top lots until the car pass people got in. I wandered the top lots and saw some interesting things. People literally just want to give you drugs. All kinds of drugs. The Juggalos are excellent sharers. The less someone should be naked, the more they are here. Juggalo wrestling was insane. The wrestlers were awesome and the gimmicks were great. We are in another world. There are no rules here. People just pelt the wrestlers with water bottles, beer, dry ramen, I don't know why, glow sticks, and anything that's not bolted down. People have megaphones and provide their own commentary. A huge lightning storm started around 1:30 and it looked awesome. Day 1 of the Gathering of the Juggalos came and went like a Faygo in the hands of a degenerate clown. When I got in, they were looking for amateur rappers to do karaoke on one of the side stages. Even though I'm a professional rapper, I signed up anyway. If there is karaoke and they have Coolio, I will always win the crowd. There's no video of this unless it turns up on social, as I do not trust these clowns to hold my phone, but the clowns like Coolio. Next was Mr. Juggalo pageant, where I saw far more dong and butthole than I ever wanted to see in my entire life. It was like an episode of Oz on steroids. Things I witnessed here: someone jumping rope naked with their pubic hair, naked cartwheels, naked breakdancing, very awkward, clothes are definitely required for this activity, and naked juggling. There was far more, but I think my brain is blocking out the horrors. Mr. Juggalo was crowned, and the gathering continued. I wandered out of the Epic tent and checked out the vendors. I got a really cool piece for the Freak Show arcade. Brought it back to the car, and prepared for the 17 layers of hell wing eating competition. Listen, I love spicy, but you need to be insane to do this. These people were having mental breakdowns on stage, falling over and puking. It was a real mess. Then I realized that Juggalesque was going to be on this same stage, and they'd have to roll around in this. Main stage started at 6. The Carnival started at the same time, and I watched the opening act from the sky on the Ferris wheel. The highlights of main stage for day 1 were the following 2 acts. Belushi Speedball. This was like a thrash metal hardcore band with energy for days, and they really get the crowd going. I think they brought every closeout from the supermarket and Amazon returns and threw them into the crowd for their entire set. They started by dousing everyone in a healthy spray of La Croix because they claim Faygo owns them, then covered people in colored powder. Then came the spatulas and stickers and Christmas ornaments, beach balls, toilet paper, ramen noodles. This show was insane. People were having spatula fights, toilet paper wars, moshing, and then the fireworks started. Have you ever seen fireworks in a mosh pit? Me neither, but I think I have post-traumatic stress disorder from it. Side note, I'm not sure if the clowns like to actually drink Faygo or they just use Faygo as a weapon. Lardi B was the other highlight. This is a fat female rapper who embraces her girth. She had a really fun show and got the crowd moving. I have to respect a fat rapper who writes songs about pizza. After the main stage ends, the freaks come out and the festivities begin. 11 p.m. was Juggalesque. I got there about a half hour early, figuring the clowns have no chance of being timely, but I was wrong. The tent was packed waiting for the clown strippers. This show did not disappoint. They had like 20 performers rolling around naked in the puke and hot sauce from the wing eating competition. They even did a burlesque tribute to Ozzy if you ever were interested in seeing the Dark Prince strip. 12 a.m. was the Ninja Olympics, where Juggalos got into the squared circle for battle while clowns taunted them and pelted the ring with garbage. After the Olympics, I ended the night at Bizarro World. This was a very Mad Max burning style setup with fire acts, trapeze, and a laser feature where the crowd could create bursts of fire around the performers. Day 2 starts next. Whoop whoop! Day 2 of the Gathering of the Juggalos started with the Juggalo Flea Market and Hot Dog Cookout. The flea market was an open-air bazaar of bootleg Insane Clown Posse merchandise and fan art, as well as other odd items. It was a feast for the eyes, and since it was quite packed, quite smelly with the aroma of unwashed clowns. On the perimeter of the flea market were people grilling up different hot dogs, all for free. The most iconic of these dogs is the Faygo dog. First, the dog is boiled in a vat of grape Faygo until it has fully absorbed the artificial flavors and colors and takes on a black tone. Then it is grilled, put on a bun, topped with macaroni salad for some reason, and doused with barbecue sauce. I must admit, while it called me to try it just to say I did, I was not willing to risk a trip to the porta potty to find out what this monstrosity tastes like. The porta potties here are like entering the sixth circle of hell. The event timeline has the different activities listed by what they are: performance, wrestling, comedians, party, sideshow, contest, or flavor. Sideshow is blue, and the next event, the Big Silva show, was blue, so I headed to the main stage area to see what it was. Big Silva turns out to be a tremendous ball of duct tape. It is said to weigh over 200 pounds. Big Silva takes a ride hundreds of feet into the sky with the help of a boom crane, and it's then dropped on things below. People circle around with no safety precautions whatsoever to watch the destruction. Big Silva was dropped on a dining room set complete with table settings, mannequins, a fish tank, and lamps. It was dropped on a porta potty. It was dropped on flaming tables and barrels full of pudding. Big Silva survived, but the items below did not. As I wandered away from Big Silva into the JCW pavilion, I once again saw this big guy in a thong, and while I wondered how this could possibly be comfortable to wear all week, I started hearing people screaming my name. It was none other than the Tucky twins from Twins Arcade and TNT Amusements. This was completely random, and a welcome surprise to see anyone I knew since I left New York. These guys are a lot of fun, and we went on to watch the next event together, the world's most dangerous stunt show. The name does not disappoint. It started a little lame with some jackass-style nut shots, but progressed into the following 3 acts. First, a guy jumped off the bleachers into a trampoline that was made of barbed wire. Second, a guy jumped off the bleachers at least 20 feet up, holding a bouncy exercise ball to cushion his fall, hoping he would bounce back up. He did not. Next, someone was wrapped in a roll of firecrackers and it was lit. This was pretty scary, actually. It was like a scene from a war. Twins Arcade invited me back to their camp where I hung out a bit and where I am now parking my stuff and using as a home base. As I made my way back to the car to grab some food, I ran into YouTuber Brandon Buckingham. We chatted a bit and took in the debauchery. He asked if I would be on camera, so I did, but then he didn't really ask anything, and he just said say something, and I think whatever I said sounded ridiculous. We'll see if that ends up making it into his Gathering of the Juggalos 2025 video. Next up was easily one of the most entertaining events of them all. I cannot even describe everything happening here, and I certainly can't post any videos. All I can say is that a 90-year-old grandmother won the wet t-shirt contest, and I can't even believe there is a space where events like this take place in 2025. Main stage started at 6 p.m. again. The acts for day 2 were mainly rap other than a band called Normandy, which were some weird metal hybrid and I didn't really dig. Insane Clown Posse headlined and put on a heck of a show. Faygo flew and I was soaked head to toe in orange and grape soda. The show ended with the gates being knocked down and thousands of people storming the stage for an epic Faygo-fueled party on stage. Only at the Gathering is the night just beginning after the headliner goes on. Clownvis Comedy Hour started at 11 p.m. This was a traditional multi-act comedy show and Clownvis headlined. None of the comedians were very funny, and I have to say, comedy at the Gathering is the best because if the comedian sucks, people boo, yell at them, and throw stuff. You can't even do crowd work on these people because they will literally just throw a beer in your face or pelt you with dirt. The clowns also all have bullhorns, so they heckle just as loud as the comedian is. The heckling was easily the best part of this. I maintain my position that comedy has become unfunny, but the clowns make it fun to watch at least. After I darted out of the comedy tent, I figured I'd roam around in the pitch black and see what flavor was going on at the camps. This did not disappoint. One of the camps set up 4 fence posts wrapped in rope and were looking for volunteers to blind fight. They blindfolded each participant and had them fight each other blind. This was pretty entertaining and wild. It was the middle of the night and JCW Wrestling was first starting, so I headed over to that to see the show and then packed it in and called it a night. Some side notes and observations. First, I think it's crazy how much bootleg merchandise is sold inside the Gathering. They don't seem to care at all either. It's kind of awesome that people just set up shops for all kinds of stuff at their camps and no one stops them. There are people selling barbecue, illicit substances, coffee, setting up entire bars, caricatures, massages. The sky's the limit. There are also a lot of YouTubers here. Expect an oversaturation of Gathering videos on YouTube soon. I guess I'm guilty of that too. The amount of nudity is insane. I posted about this yesterday, but you are fine with it at a distance, but when you get crammed together, you just want people to wear clothes. They have booths and people walking around giving out free Narcan to everyone. It's smart, but it's scary that it's a requirement. There's also zero security. You can bring anything in you want, and you better hope all these clowns are sane and nothing truly crazy ever goes down here. 2 more days to go. Can I survive? Whoop whoop! Day 3, Gathering of the Juggalos. Man, the days go fast here. One thing I really like about how this event is run is there are literally non-stop events from 12 p.m. to 4 a.m. with 6 or 7 events happening at once. You really can't get bored. The first event of today was Faygo launching competition where hundreds of clowns lined up to launch bottles of Faygo at the crowd. The bottle distance was measured like it was an Olympic game if the official could get to the bottle before rabid clowns started fighting over the remains of the Faygo in the bottle. Faygo launching seems like a real art, and Insane Clown Posse has mastered this art. I stuck around to see Squid Pisser, which has a member of Gwar in it, and then I moved on. The Epic Tent was hosting the Juggalo costume contest. These clowns aren't afraid to dress up, and there had to be 100 entrants with America's Got Talent type commentators on the stage. There were some really crazy costumes and some awful ones adorned on true weirdos as well. This led into Juggalo Fear Factor, which was a series of events, one grosser than the next. They really know how to create an audible here. One of the challenges was the hottest hot sauce, which both needed to go in your mouth and in your eyes. A man jumped on stage and offered to dip his balls in each contestant's hot sauce before playing. The organizers went with it and chaos ensued, both for the contestants and for Mr. Spicy Balls. The highlight of the day was up next and in the same tent, Hellzapoppin Circus Sideshow. I've seen these guys on tour several times and they know how to put on a show. They always have high production value and awesome acts. I could see this one act 100 times and I'm grossed out every single time. A 20-foot tube is inserted down the performer's nose with a container on the end. The assistant fills the container with beer. Then other gross stuff like ketchup, Pepto-Bismol that she swishes around in her mouth before spitting in the container, and more. The container is then put under pressure with a plunge-type device, and all of the liquids go through the tube, down the performer's nose, and into his stomach. Next, it is plunged back up from his stomach to the container, and the gross concoction is displayed for all to see. However, that's not the worst part. Audience members are recruited on stage, cups are handed out, and a toast is made. The volunteers drink this gross concoction, and I squirm every single time. Kudos to Hellzapoppin for always getting people to do this. I have no idea how. There is no amount of money you could pay me to drink this. I headed over to the camp I'm hanging out with and using as a home base, where they fed me pulled pork sandwiches. Hey, no jokes. It was really pulled pork. We then all headed down as a group to see Gwar. The highlight of the night was definitely Big Jay Oakerson / Legion of Skanks Comedy Hour. I've not found stand-up comedy funny for a long time. I think the fear of these people keeps the comedians from picking on them too much, which I kind of like. The first comedian came out, said something to an audience member, and then was pelted with garbage and drinks by hundreds of people. The Jugs were trying to get the comedians to do whippets with them on stage, and they did. Big Jay Oakerson and Louis J. Gomez killed it despite a fight breaking out in the middle of Jay's set. Some more gathering observations. The clowns here are very entrepreneurial. There are hawkers at a lot of the events selling water, soda, weed, whippets, cotton candy, etc. at the events. They have the aprons, containers, and all that jazz you'd see at a baseball game, but they don't actually work here. They just showed up and decided to hawk stuff. It's weird and it's also kind of awesome. I heard about a drug bridge in the past. There is no drug bridge here, but the walkways are lined with vendors selling anything from shrooms to LSD to weed to meth, and then other booths giving away Narcan and test kits. It's very weird. What's even weirder is they do have a couple of cop golf carts coming around, but they don't do anything about it. As the days go on, there are more products and services being sold. When I was wandering around in the middle of the night, I said to myself, this is what living like a homeless person must be like. I will say that the people here are probably the nicest of any scene I've ever experienced. There's bad apples in every bunch, but these are not people out to cause harm on each other. People line the walkways with megaphones, heckling you as you walk by. This seemed familiar to me, and I was racking my brains about what it reminds me of. Then I had an aha moment. These are the people who weren't good enough for the Bozo the Clown dunk tank at the state fair, so they bought their own megaphone and kept on heckling anyway. I also like how rap and metal cross over here. No one here is a genre snob. If it's entertaining, they throw it on stage. Tomorrow is the last day, and it's kind of sad. This is a you gotta be here to understand it type experience. One of the comedians from Legion of Skanks said it best yesterday. So I guess this is what the end of the world looks like. This is Fallout, but with balloons as currency. Day 4 and the final day of Gathering of the Juggalos, and the natives are getting restless. People seem really desperate for money to get home today. Lots of offers going around of what people will do for money, from the mundane to the truly bizarre, all being marketed freely with hobo signs. More fighting and more health issues going down. My first event was the double Juggalo wedding, where 2 sets of couples were married in front of their Juggalo family. This is the first wedding I've ever been to where a show me your butthole chant broke out. I'm going to give these marriages a 10% chance of working out at best. I then checked out Hellzapoppin again for a little bit, and then got ready for the event I've heard all about and which is unadvertised. Apparently, every year, Insane Clown Posse does a mystery seminar where Violent J and Shaggy come out to discuss the goings-on of the gathering, ICP world, and generally just discuss what they want to discuss. Before this seminar, there is a tradition to absolutely trash the place with a garbage war. They seem to get smart this year and move it out from under a tent to a side stage. About 15 minutes before ICP took to the stage for the seminar, the war broke out. People carted garbage in from all around the grounds and just started throwing it. There were people with coolers full of chicken feet and octopuses. Yes, octopuses, and they were being hurled all over the place. This is one of the more insane things I've ever experienced, and the smell was indescribable. After the seminar, I went over to the Nettin game, where contestants compete on a dating game show. I'm not sure why people who have no personalities whatsoever, can't speak, and are semi-brain dead decide that they should take to the stage, but I'm glad that they do. This leads into the next WTF event, Miss Juggalette Contest. This is an event that you will not see on YouTube or likely online at all, because it's against terms of service of every site out there to show pretty much any footage of this. In Miss Juggalette Contest, the dumbest and most attention-hungry of the Juggalo women compete to be crowned Miss Juggalette for the year. They are willing to do absolutely anything to win, and all while being pelted with drinks and garbage by the crowd. Big Jay Oakerson and Louis J. Gomez were judges on the panel, which made this really funny. If you follow any influencers that are offering good footage of this contest, pay the fee they are charging to see it. It's really worth a view. The rest of the day was music with Bone Thugs and Harmony, 3-6 Mafia, and again, Insane Clown Posse. The last night didn't go as late as the others with after-concert activities. As I walked out of the grounds of Legend Valley, I was actually kind of sad that it came to an end. When I decided to go, I didn't know if this was all hype or if I'd even make it for more than a day. I just decided I'm going to do this, and then I did it. At the end, it felt like I was leaving something special. A last vestige of a free world where people can just be who they want to be. If you get the opportunity to experience Gathering of the Juggalos, I highly recommend it. Long live the Juggalos. Whoop whoop!